Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Semrush webinar. Today's Semrush webinar. My name is Kate. I am online marketer here at Semrush, and I'll be hosting today's session. Today, we have the third SEO consultation with Tom Casano. We are very happy that this format gains some interest from the audience, and we are very happy to see you today here. So, Tom, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, I'm psyched to be here, Kate. I'm really looking forward. It's January, it's a new year, and time to rank higher and get more traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you please tell a few words about yourself just for the newcomers?
Yeah, so thank you so much to Semrush and Kate for hosting the webinar. My name is Tom Casano. I'm the founder of an SEO agency called Sherlock here in New York City, and we're a full-service SEO agency, and so I have a lot of experience when it comes to on-site optimization, keyword research, link building. SEO is, quite a varied place, and I've been doing it for some time, and I'm really happy to help anyone who has questions today to help them, get more traffic, rank higher, and be more successful in SEO.
Thank you very much, Tom. And also today we have another member of the Sure Oak team joining us. That's Andres Aguero. Andres will monitor the questions in the live chat and will try to answer the majority of them. Also today, tuning live, we have three wonderful guests, Michael, Neil, and Christina. Thank you very much for being with us today, and it's great to have you all on board. So I'd like to also ask you to briefly introduce yourselves. So basically, what's your name, what you do, and where you are located. And I'm just going to start like from left to right as I can see you on the screen. So Neil, can you please go first?
My name is Neil Monroe. I work for the Aspen Brands. I am the manager of e-commerce, and I'm located just north of Atlanta in Duluth, Georgia.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina, what about you? Christina? Can you hear me? Not sure. Okay. Michael, what about you?
Hello, my name is Michael Kensky. I'm a Chief Technology Officer at Live Help Now, and we're located just outside of Philly.
Okay, great. Christina, you are muted. So
can you hear me now?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you can speak now. Christina, can you hear me? Looks like we're having some troubles with this.
Okay. I'm Christina from Quito, Ecuador. I am the Director of Marketing and Customer. So I don't understand. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I think that maybe the sound just has some delay when it arrives at your computer. But okay, so I think that we are ready to go now. And as you can see, we have three guests today because two people have dropped off. So if you feel like your camera and your microphone are well set, please email me at the email address that I will put in the live chat of the stream, and I'll add you to our Hangout. So before we jump straight to the point, I'll quickly remind everyone about the format of the webinar. So each guest has approximately 10 minutes to ask Tom their questions and get answers. And we're also taking questions from the audience. So Andres will choose the best questions, and Tom will take like one or two questions between the guest sessions. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. If you have any answers, you can also send me these questions in the live chat. I'm also monitoring it. Yeah, I think that somebody has... No, that's okay. Okay, I think we're ready to go. And Neil, would you like to go first and ask your questions?
Sure. So my first one is, we keep on getting hit for language declaration. Just wondering how important you think that is.
Oh boy, you started with like the hardest question that I might not even know how to answer. The site is multi-language and?
No, it's just English.
Okay, and so tell me more about language declaration.
So just it's wanting the that declaration in the header, and we've added it for one of our site. We have 4 different sites. We added it for one site to see if it had any changes. Basically, our site audit, we keep on getting hit for it and getting errors and warnings. So just wondering how important you think that that actually is.
You know, it's not something I've seen. You're getting a hit with the site audit from where?
From SEMrush.
Oh, okay.
Like I run site
Right.
audits on our website, so.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would love to give you a solid answer, but I haven't like seen or experienced it, so I would say let's go to the next question.
Okay. We have a lot of third-party JavaScripts that between site audits on SEO, Rush, or other places, we're getting hit for unminified JavaScripts, CSS, everything like that, but it's third-party. Is there anything that we can really do to take care of this?
Yeah, that's also a challenge when it comes to like, you know, when the browser is loading the page and it's like has to query different websites and pull up, you know, if it's taking it from different URLs to load different scripts. I think there are actually ways to consolidate them, though when it comes to technical SEO, it's not really my strong suit. Andres, who's also in the chat on behalf of my company, if you want to write a message in the chat, that might be helpful to Neil, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, ultimately you want to have as few as possible. But the problem is if you have like, you know, Google Analytics going and you have like other scripts that you need to run, you need to load. Sometimes, you know, it's a little challenging to get the page to load quickly, but you need these scripts to run. But I have heard of ways that you can consolidate them into, like, for instance, Google Tag Manager, you know, will be able to run like analytics for multiple different, you know, Google Analytics and other, you know, Facebook Pixel and those kinds of things.
Okay. I keep seeing basically all of these pertain to the site audit. The next one is image alt attributes. Keep on getting hit for like site nav images such as arrow gray or divider gray line and things like that, which I don't really think need a alt attribute because it's to do with the site layout, but somehow they keep on getting notified for that. So just wondering if I should give an alt attribute for that, or should I just take the hit on the error and you know, let it run?
Yeah, so one thing I love about SEMrush is the software is so robust and like so all-encompassing that it'll find any possible potential error or issue or anything happening. But on the flip side, you might get too many things where maybe not everything is impactful. And so I think it becomes important then to try to figure out which are the most important things and which aren't. So something like that sounds like it's probably not so important, but maybe it's making you aware of it and saying, hey, you know, here might be a little thing to be aware of. But yeah, I'm with you. That doesn't sound like something that, you know, if you fix all of those tomorrow, I don't think it's going to have like some massive impact on your traffic. But that's often the challenge is like, if there's, you know, dozens of potential issues or problems things that can be fixed. Oh, a little echo. Hey, Jessica.
That's often the challenge is like, if there's, you know, dozens of potential issues or problems.
I think somebody has a YouTube stream open. Can you please mute it?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, I had my other browser going. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Neil, can you please proceed?
I was wondering, okay, so we have a lot of variated products that, so say that you had a coffee mug that could be for birthdays, and then we can personalize it for anniversaries, or we can personalize it for a wedding. In your opinion, basically, I've done a whole bunch of research and see pros and cons of either way, of either consolidating them into one listing or to be able to optimize them separately. What's your opinion on the matter?
Yeah, this is a question I love. So it all stems from keyword research, because keyword research is what we're trying to match and to fit is what people actually want. And so if we're getting keywords like custom birthday mugs, custom anniversary mugs, or maybe it's not custom, I'm making that up, right?
Yeah.
And then there's probably more long tail keywords like, you know, best birthday mugs or cheap birthday, whatever. You can basically, you know, that's really what keyword mapping becomes. And so is there a page that matches to that keyword? If you have a mug that can be made for anything, it can be made for an anniversary, it could be made for a birthday, I would still have different landing pages, even though it could be like the same exact product. You want to have that page that's really like targeted and relevant to that specific keyword. Otherwise, you're losing out. If you just say, here's a mug that could be for a birthday or an anniversary or whatever, it's going to kind of muddy it up. And then you could even get more narrow based on those long tail keywords. Like if a blog post like best birthday, custom birthday mugs of 2019. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but people search for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess my question was, to me, it comes down between, like, I understand the SEO value of it, but then it comes down to a UA UX. Like if you can have 250 products that then become 1,000 products, then it kind of muddies up your categories of that you can get to the same product 20 different ways from a category page.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sort of. So are there different, for those different keywords, would they be different like product pages or different landing pages with products embedded in them?
Different product pages.
Right.
Is the way that they're set up.
Yeah. And so from a user experience standpoint, let's say if it's like in the main navigation or when they're kind of going through the site and picking different categories and drilling into what they want, you don't have to list them all there. It might not get as much internal linking if you don't have it. So let's say if you have like, you know, 20 of these pages you can create for different keywords, you don't have to list all 20 in that user experience. Maybe you just have like the 4 most common ones, or there could be there can always be like a sub thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know what you mean. It could be really like so many product pages and get crazy.
Yeah. And then it just became like a pros and cons. Okay. The next one that I have is the meta links, title, description, and do you still think that keywords hold any importance, or do you think that I feel like when they're not in there, then pages don't rank as well, but I know that you can't like spam with it, but I feel like Google, although they say that they're not looking at it, that they still somewhat are. Just kind of wanted your opinion on it.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's not something I've spent any time on or too much on, but like you're saying, you know, why not? Like it is a tag. It could give an indicator Google what the relevance of the page is about. And you could run an experiment, right? You could sit there and do 10 or 20 or 100 of them and see if there's any impact. But I would still try to look for higher impact things for the site, which might be external links to important pages. It might be other on-page indicators. It might be page load speed. It might be a great user experience. Those kinds of things. But to your specific question about the I think it's the meta title tag, basically of a link, right? You're saying? Yeah, I couldn't say definitively, but again, I wouldn't think it's like a high driver for impact. So
okay,
yeah, great questions.
My last one is kind of an open question. What do you think are the biggest changes in SEO that you've seen lately, or to the Google algorithm that you think are very impactful?
Yeah, so things like user experience, things like mobile. I mean, mobile has been around for a while, but it's still, now there's mobile first indexing. Now it's much more important. Things like page load speed, things like, I say user experience, but it even goes further into like user engagement metrics. So how long someone's staying on your page, how many pages deep they're going, and what they're doing on the page. Because Google has access to all of this, and they're not saying that they are using data from Chrome or from Android or from Google Analytics, but I think many of in the industry believe that they are. So I think that it's becoming more and more about user experience that basically humans can know. We wouldn't think an algorithm or a search engine might be able to know, but it's just so sophisticated, it's almost creepy. Like, how does it know everything it knows? So those kinds of things. And then also like things like brand mentions, things that are a little more you know, I mean, backlinks are super important, but there might be more indirect, like brand or reputation measures that we've seen where Google can get a sense of like how people are speaking about your company. So thanks so much, Neil. These are great questions. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, man. Oh, I did have one more question for you.
I think to make sure there's enough time for it. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. You're good.
We can talk more.
Yeah, we can talk more maybe closer to the end of the webinar if we have time. And now I wanted to ask Tom if he would like to take any questions from the audience.
Yeah, I'm seeing one here from Spelling Classroom. So the question is, if you have 1 hour a day to work in SEO, how would you suggest you spend that time? What are the 3 top things to do? It's a great question, Spelling Classroom, and I think it also depends on where your site is. So let's say your site has a 10,000 backlink, referring domains or a domain authority of 80, then you really wouldn't spend your time on link building. But let's say there's no content, you'd spend your time on content. So I would say it depends on which are let's call them like 3 major ranking factors. One is backlinks, one is the keyword research and optimization, and one is content. And so if you look across those 3 main most important ranking factors, whichever one of those 3 that your site is most efficient in is where I would spend my time. And I would just try to focus on one of those areas. So if you've great content, you've done keyword research and optimized, but there's like no backlinks, I would spend your 1 hour a day just focusing on backlinks, driving backlinks like all the time. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and that 1 hour a day, it's precious, and it's going to be hard to drive some impact in that 1 hour. It's a great question. Another question from Rohit Mehra. How do you conduct the keyword research and implement that in your content? That's kind of a broad question, but keyword research, there's a lot of, Semrush is a great tool to use. So you can do your keyword research, find out what keywords your competitors are using, or keywords you might already be kind of ranking for, but on pages 2 or 3, you can get keyword ideas. You can use Google Keyword Planner, and you can basically collect data and then create content that's optimized for that keyword. So if the keyword is how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is, of course, is like the greatest keyword ever, then you can write a piece of content on that and make sure you're using that keyword in the title tag, in the header tag, in the URL slug, in the tag body text itself, and in internal backlinks back to that page as well, so that you're optimizing for that keyword and creating great content on it. So thank you for those. And Kate, who should be our next question?
I think we can pick Michael. Michael, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go on.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Question for you on Panda updates. Did you work on recovery from those? What were your steps?
So that's something that I came on the scene of SEO around the time when that happened, and never actually directly dealt with it because the sites I dealt with never had those penalties. So I couldn't really speak specifically of how to recover from a Penguin Panda algorithm update.
Got it. Okay. When you speak on major factors to SEO, and one is backlinking, the Penguin update was fully targeting backlink. So when you talk about backlinks now, what is the strategy? Are you being very, very selective in who you ask for backlink, or you just go and start posting WordPress comments all over the place? Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of different tactics for link building. Obviously, we want the highest quality and the most real and authentic links versus, like you said, like obviously if you're just spamming comments on blogs, that's not going to work. Those are no follow, those are low quality, and those just actually can work against you. If we start from like the highest possible links you can have for your site, in my opinion, they would be links that are earned, links that you never reached out to anyone, but like you have this amazing resource, this amazing tool, this amazing publication or report or something that someone found and then linked back to you. And that's kind of more of in an ideal world, because you have to be a fairly big brand or company or already have that awareness, right? So coming down more to reality, if your company has PR or PR budget or any kind of outreach, any kind of relationships with news media, those are great because those are obviously very authoritative. Those are backlinks that can be very natural and from websites that have authority and have readership you know, they have like real visitors to those pages and that sort of thing. And then as we keep moving down, then we get into tactics that might be a lot more like doable. Like guest posting, for instance, is one of those. Infographics have been around for a long time. I don't really do that. Help a reporter out, if you're familiar with that. It's basically journalists asking for a pitch, or for a it's not a pitch, sorry, for a source on an article that they're writing. So those are great because those could be very high quality. Getting interviewed in podcasts is also a form of like PR, but more at the internet-y level, because it's not like the Huffington Post, but it's like that dude has a podcast on X and you could be a guest and then you can get a link that way. So there's all these kinds of ways, and competitor research and looking at where your competitor is getting links can be very helpful, and trying to reverse engineer like how that link appeared. Again, having tools or having widgets or having, let's say, an awards that you're giving out. There's all these, there's like no limit to ways. And one of the other best ways, sorry, I could talk about this forever, is if you have like, for instance, user profiles or something valuable that users can create on your site. Most websites or business models are not set up for this, but if it just so happens that your business is, and they can have profiles, then users might be wanting to link back to their profile or to their, let's say it's a portfolio, or let's say they're creating art, or let's say they're creating videos. I've seen beautiful instances where there's like events companies. I can't think of the name of the one. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. But if you're, doing events and companies want to link back to the information on that event, they'll link back to your site. So there's no shortage of ways to earn links, but a lot of them can be pretty hard, or to get the most authoritative links is fairly competitive. So that's a long answer to your question.
Got it. So another question is, let's say you're trying to outrank a competitor, and that competitor has, just for the sake of example, 5 backlinks, and you have 500 backlinks, and you still cannot outrank that competitor. What do you look at? What is wrong?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So obviously it's not the backlinks, it's got to be something else.
That's right.
Semrush has a great report that looks at the most important ranking factors. You can, I think if you Google like Semrush ranking report or ranking factors, it should come up. Some of the ones I would first look to is, so aside from, we'll take link building out of the picture. The first thing would be the optimization. So if the keyword is how to make peanut butter and jelly, we want to make sure it's in the title tag, it's in the URL slug, we want to make sure it's in the header tag, the body text, and in internal links back to that page. Those are kind of like the 5 places you can mainly be using the keyword. There's other ones, but those in my mind are like some of the most important. And then from there also, then it comes really down to a matter of satisfying user intent, or satisfying what that searcher is looking for. So oftentimes it's content is the answer, but sometimes someone might be looking for something that might not be delivered to them in the form of content. Maybe it's a tool, maybe it's an image, maybe it's just like they want that answer right away. You can put like at the top, like highlighted in bold. So you really want to look at, if, being empathetic and saying, look, if I was a searcher doing this search, what am I really wanting to get? Because oftentimes what we sometimes forget and wind up doing is we just try to optimize. We're just try to like put stuff on a page to get traffic that we think will work, but you really want to help that user get what they want. And if you do that, then, it's my belief, and over time, what you see is Google will reward those pages that are satisfying user intent, because that's all Google wants to do. And that's all their algorithm is ultimately trying to do. All the SEO work we're doing is just trying to help searchers find the information that they're looking for. It's all Google wants. And so the better job we can do of that, the higher the likelihood that, that you'll be able to rank higher. And then there's, technical things like page load speed. I mean, there's an endless list. You can go down that list. I mean, maybe your page is loading super slow, and that'd be an obvious one. So you want to look across those kinds of things.
Do I have time for one more question or no?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, good. So what is your opinion? Is more content on a single page better, or less content is better? Because I'm totally confused. Before Google said, or people around SEO industry said, well, let's pump out 1,200 word blog posts, and then our landing page have to be really, really long. They have to cover all the features of the product. Now the consensus seems to be changing to, let's keep it short, let's keep it user focused, less is more. What is your opinion? Is less more?
It's a great question, and it's hard to give an answer that's going to be true in all cases. Generally speaking, we do find a correlation of more content is correlated with higher ranking. So if you look on average at positions 1, 2, and 3 for any keyword, on average the first spots are going to be like 2,000 words long. You know, if it goes down from there, by the time you get to position 10, maybe it's like 16 or 1,500 words long. But you do find search results. I'm sure you've done this where you search even just like a definition, right? You know, dictionary, you search for a definition. I mean, Google gives their definition, but then dictionary.com is going to give you a sentence and some examples. So actually the real answer is that longer is not always better, but it's again, back to satisfying user intent, back to answering that person's question. And you might not need 5,000 words to do it. You know, you might be able to do it in like 200 words. You know, so I almost think of like those first, like above the fold, like the first sentences and the first information you see, you want to be really like, boom, like giving the answer, or like, here's the help you wanted, here's what you need, there it is. But generally speaking, we do find that longer content will perform better. So if your competitor has 500 words and it's the kind of topic that would warrant an in-depth, you know, 3,000 word report and all that other information, I think it's worthwhile going that direction. But you don't just want to add fluff, or you don't just want to write for the sake of writing. It's got to be valuable and helpful. And sometimes you can't write 3,000 words about a topic. So you just, you know, sometimes maybe an image or a video in that page will help satisfy user intent. And again, there's those user engagement signals I mentioned. So I hope that helps give some context for you to make a decision.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks.
Sure.
Right.
Thank you very much, Michael. They were wonderful questions. And Tom, would you like to take anything from the audience?
Yeah, I see here Elena Lordache was asking a question. When it comes to keyword research specifically, how do you go about selecting what keywords to use? On what do you base your decision? So volume, competition, how do you prioritize them? And that's a great question. So it sort of depends. Let's assume that your business model is like to generate leads or to generate sales for an e-commerce company. Then you really want to think deeply about the user intent. But sometimes the highest user intent keywords can be the most competitive. So if you Google like buy computer, you'd be competing against like Amazon or Best Buy, and you know you're not going to compete against them. So then it's kind of like you want to look across those dimensions. So one of them is like user intent, right? What's the likelihood that they're going to convert to help grow your business? One of them is competitiveness, like we just spoke about, and like you mentioned, and then there's volume. And so I don't have a specific formula, but you can almost kind of go off of your gut that, you know, this keyword might not have the highest user intent, but it has good search volume and it's not so competitive. And when I do the search myself, right, because we get the competitive metric. So, you know, Semrush or a tool can tell us like how competitive this keyword is. But the best real way to know is to do the search in an incognito browser window and then see like how good are those results. And maybe you say to yourself, these results aren't that good. I can create a better piece of content or a better web page. And so you can see the opportunity that way. So I would look across those kind of three factors that you mentioned. Again, I don't have a formula. Some part of it could be like your gut, or part of it could be something we call at our company, Short Oak, we call it striking distance. And it means, you know, if you're in position 11 already for a keyword and you can get up one position higher, now you're on the first page. So there might be lower hanging fruit opportunities like that. So that's a really good question and something I think about a lot. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I think we can proceed with Christina. But you are muted.
Wait. Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I am a marketing director from a fintech company. We work through an investment app, so you can start investing from as little as one. What do I have? I have a website, transactional, but my objective is to have my users to download my app because everything is better with the app. So I have a blog. I started to write some articles telling people what is the best options for them to invest and searching your topics, your recommendations on topics on Semrush. But I wanted to ask you, what would you recommend for me to do as a priority? Because we are launching by March, so we only have writing some articles and do not have doing anything regarding SEO. So I would like to know, what do you recommend for me as a step 1, step 2, step 3 priorities? And also, how can I work? I just hear from you that you sorry, my bad English, but I just hear you told us to search in incognito window, but I'm here in Ecuador and the IP is, my users are in the USA. So if there is a software or some trick I can do to have the results in USA, not in Ecuador.
Great questions. Okay. So for your first question, so you have an app and you want people to download the app and come to the website through SEO to download the app. One thing to also think about in addition to SEO is App Store optimization, because if someone is searching on the App Store and it's competitive, it's like its own form of SEO where you're trying to optimize for, let's say, the Apple App Store, right? And someone's looking for an investing app. There's a whole world of optimization there, which I have no experience in personally, but I know it's a thing. And so you might want to really think about what are the ranking factors within an app store. Is it the number of reviews? Is it the rating itself? Is it the number of downloads? I mean, I believe those are probably all part of it, but that might be a more direct way, because if someone's already in an app store in their phone, on Android or whatever, and they're, searching for, an investing app, it might be a more, almost like that person's already looking for an app, so they're going to download an app. Not to say you shouldn't do SEO or SEO is not valuable or helpful to support the downloads and the growth of the platform, but it's a little more direct because people are already looking for the app. But within SEO, there's sort of like a lot of things to do. And the other thought I had is if you're not launch till March or in January, you have 2 months, then you might want to be collecting email addresses, find out about our launch and, they just put in their email address or get our free updates or get this free download, whatever, because if you have traffic today from SEO, from organic traffic or from other sources, like they can't download the app today, I think is what I understood. So you can't really like capture them in any sort of way that they will download the app. And then from SEO, I've kind of spoken through a lot of the different ranking factors. And so there's enough important ranking factors that it's kind of hard to do SEO in a day or in a month or in several months. It takes quite some time, as you know. So you're posting articles, that's good. You want to do the keyword research, make sure you're optimizing those articles for the keywords. You want to do link building, so you're getting links back to the site, so Google trusts and believes that the site is authoritative and trustworthy, and that all takes time. So if those are the things you're doing, then I think you're on the right path. And your second question about seeing what the results look like in other countries. This is something I haven't spent time on because most of my clients are in the US and I'm in the US. I know there's ways to do it. I think Semrush might have a way where you can see what the search results look like for a certain keyword. I know you can use a proxy, which maybe is a lot more technical. I wonder how it would be if you use the US version of Google from where you are and you can compare. So I don't have the best answer there, but those are some thoughts about how you might see what the results look like in a certain location.
Okay, just one last question. Do you think it's useful for me to have my blog, my content blog, or not?
Your blog?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's useful if you're doing keyword research and optimizing the content for those keywords, and if you're doing link building, because I think I'll just check. So Flex Invest. I looked at the domain authority of the site, and it's 10 on a scale of 100. That's a metric from Moz. And so I didn't check how many backlinks there are to the site, but if we look in Semrush, we're probably going to find that there's not really enough to get the site ranking. So it's certainly worthwhile to have blog content if, number one, that content has been optimized for keywords that people are searching for, and two, you have enough backlinks to the website that will give you the authority and trust in Google's eyes that those web pages and the website itself should be ranking. Because this is the most unfortunate thing to me, and the saddest thing I've learned the hard way a few times is you can have the greatest content in the world, but if you don't have backlinks to your website, Google will kind of question, should I trust this website? Is it authoritative? Even if it is. Even if it's the most trustworthy, authoritative company and website in the world, if you don't have backlinks to it, that's really what Google has been using for the last 20 years to say, oh, the Wall Street Journal has, whatever, tens of thousands of links to it, hundreds of thousands, therefore we trust it. It's not using, I mean, there's other measures it's using, but that's what it's based off of.
Okay, if there's a minimum amount of backlinks we need to have or not?
There's not a minimum, but you could look at your competitors. So if you know who your competitors are, you can plug them into SEMrush, see how many referring domains or backlinks they have, and you can get a sense, you know, if their positions 1, 2, and 3, and they have X, and you have Y, you could see what the gap is.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
These are great questions. You're very welcome. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Christina. Tom, I think there is a question from the audience. Yes?
Yep. From Mohammed Saad Nadim. My question is that what is more important on-page SEO or off-page SEO? I am a beginner, and where should I start from? So it's a great question. They're both important. And so what I found is if you had amazing on-page SEO and no off-page SEO, you're not really going to be able to rank at traffic, and vice versa. If you had amazing, which way did I say it? So if you had amazing, the other way around, you're still not going to be able to really rank. So you really need, you know, 2 or 3 of these most important pillars basically for your SEO. So you got to focus on both. And like I was saying earlier, if your website has amazing content and it's the keyword research and optimization has been done for it, then all you really have left is the link building, or vice versa. Maybe it has, you know, that's the most beautiful situation I ever find is a website that has amazing backlinks, like a high domain authority, let's say, you know, the Wall Street Journal, and like some very authoritative websites are linking back to it, but they just haven't really done keyword research or haven't created content. I think it's actually a lot easier to create optimized content by doing keyword research and optimizing that content. And that takes time. I mean, when I talk about content, I think of tens of thousands of words. I'm not thinking of like a 500-word blog post. I'm thinking of like, you know, it depends on the budget, depends on the company and the goals and that kind of thing. But I think it's actually a lot easier to create content that's optimized than it is to earn links to the site. So both on-page SEO and off-page SEO are important.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Tom. And I think we can proceed with Jessica. Jessica, it's great to have you here today.
Hi. Yes, thanks. Thanks so much. Thanks for letting me join at the last minute. Yeah, so I have an online personalized children's products web store, and I've had the hardest time, obviously, in ranking. I do have a few products that are in #1, but overall, my conversions are not quite there, and my traffic is definitely not where I would want it to be. Now, one thing that I did do, and this goes where my question is about URLs. So it's about actually a blog post. So my partner created this this post that was all related to detox, like a diet detox blog post, because we wanted to create content that was appealing to moms who are obviously, you know, a lot of my clientele. And this post, you know, we also linked it with Pinterest. This post was crazy, bringing crazy traffic. And we were even getting questions on our chat, you know, can you tell me what detox vinegar to use and all this? And we're like, oh my God, what have we done? Now, I thought that having this post was actually hurting me, even though the traffic was great and the volume of visitors had increased. I thought it was hurting me because obviously people are coming in, looking at this and seeing this website has nothing to do with detoxing or diet. So I went ahead and I blocked it. And obviously my traffic went down drastically. And I have seen definitely a change in conversions, like they have dropped down. So would you say that I should have just left it? And, you know, I was just annoyed that my traffic, I wasn't getting a clear picture of my traffic on my real clients doing conversions. So should I have left it?
That's an interesting question. And I'm even a little confused on the situation. And so I think your family member's walking in the background. I was like,
yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was up late last night, so I'm trying to stay focused. Let me see.
I have,
well, I don't think it's really going to hurt your site if, let's say, you know, I have a website about, I don't know, like nature, right? And then I have a piece of content that's not really about nature. It's maybe about like motorcycles, and it ranks well, and then it's got some traffic. It shouldn't really hurt the site. I mean, from one standpoint, it's not relevant to the rest of the content and theme and topics of the website. So from that standpoint, it's a little funky, and like, you know, in Google's eyes, it might be like, what? Why is this nature website talking about motorcycles? But it shouldn't really hurt. And if that's, you know, web page is getting traffic from Google, it shouldn't really hurt. The thing is, if my website about nature is trying to sell nature products, people are searching for someone with motorcycles and they come to the page, they're not going to buy my nature products. So I would expect the conversion rate on that traffic to be close to zero, as close to zero as it could be, because there's no relevance for them. They're reading about motorcycles. I'm selling nature products. There's like no, so I don't think it's harmful. And so actually, I mean, it kind of depends. I don't know. The thing you said at the end about like when you took it off, the conversions went down. But I think you mean not the conversion rate. So not the percentage, but the number of people converting into something went down. So maybe some of that traffic was converting. So is that making sense what I'm saying so far?
Yeah. I see. Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm going to unblock it. All right.
Yeah, maybe it was almost relevant enough or like, you know, similar enough that like, and if it had a lot of traffic, then, you know, you're still getting some sales. Okay.
My second question is, so I know that backlinks are like quite important for bringing traffic. What would you say is the best way to approach to get backlinks? I mean, I'm a small company. I have tried so many SEO companies. I'm tired of paying for SEO services and not really seeing results, you know, because every dime that I spend is extremely precious. I rather spend it on ads that I do see the difference versus SEO. So being that I'm small, is there a service, you know, like related to my question, is there a service that you can recommend that is just specifically for backlinks, to build backlinks?
Yeah, so as an owner of an SEO agency myself, I don't know any sort of quick shortcuts. Well, I would say the only like shortcuts or like how to scale your link building on a budget sort of thing has to be it has to be a more thoughtful approach that's going to give you sort of like I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it, but it becomes like if you're, for instance, okay, viral marketing, right, is kind of an analogy. Like you can have a video you put on social media that goes viral. What's the odds of that happening? It's probably very low. Like I've tried to do it myself and I failed at it, and I'm sure many have. So it's not that
they would have thought about the egg, right, on Instagram.
What's that?
There was an egg that was posted on Instagram that reached millions and millions of followers. Just a picture of an egg. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, but so that's the thing. So you can have any kind of way to earn backlinks and get backlinks at scale for cheap. It's just that the odds of it happening and the way to do it, like you'd have to be a ninja, in my opinion. I mean, you know, I mean, the way I find to be yeah, it's really tricky. I mean, look, if you're short on money but you have some time, I would say guest posting is a way. It's also very intensive because it takes time. You got to write guest posts, you got to submit them, you got to find sites that'll accept them. Like it's a campaign. It's like a real initiative that like takes a lot of time and energy. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, competitor analysis can be helpful. Sometimes there's like some directories that maybe you can submit your site into. But again, those aren't that high quality, but might give you a little bit of link equity from Google. But, you know.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, I don't have the time. Time is actually my issue. I could do the investment, but I just want to make sure that if I'm doing the investment, that I am seeing the return.
But the thing is, I think what I found, this is speaking honestly as an agency owner, is the bar, like it depends where your site is now and where your competitors are. So I'll just speak relatively. Let's say your competitors at our domain authority are at 60 and you're at 20. The amount of investment you would need to get to them would be substantial, like very substantial, because getting back, and the other thing is, if let's say I start my website, my company a year ago, and my competitors started 15 years ago, they've got 15 years of not that they were necessarily doing link building for 15 years, but they were just around and existing for 15 years. So if someone on the web just kind of came to their website, found something kind of helpful, and then they shared it on their blog like 14 years ago or 13 years ago, all those links, they're still sitting there. And that competitor never like spent money and time to create those links. They just kind of, and this is the way link building is supposed to work, is they just kind of earn those links so the short answer to your question is, I believe it does take a substantial investment of either money or time to earn links. And, can you be assured of an ROI? And I look at ROI long-term because SEO is a long-term thing. Once you're ranking higher or getting more traffic, it should stay there. So the thing is, let's say you had I'm going to make up some numbers because I don't know where you are. Let's say you were going to put $10,000 into link building. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe it's $2,000. I don't know. but I don't think $2,000 would really move the needle that much. But I don't know. I don't know where your competitors are and all that stuff. Let's say you're like, well, it's not really worth it. $10,000 is a lot of money. Like my business isn't going to make that money back in the next month or 2 or 3. But if you think over the next 3 years, if you're ranking on page 1 in the top, 5 positions, and people are coming back to that page over and over again, every single day, every single week, every single month for that whole year. And then for the next year, I think the ROI actually pays off. But there's an uncertainty and a risk, which is why there's an opportunity, but why it's a sort of like, I don't know if I want to put this money in because I might not get it back. So it's probably not the answer you want, but that's been my experience of it. Like I don't have a magic solution, but
like
if there were,
yeah, I've run the report on Semrush and I've looked at my competitors and the backlinks that they have. And I know these are successful competitors and they're doing a lot of sales. So if I see a link, how do I approach them? Do I send them an email? What is the best way to approach a website or an authoritative, website to link with me?
Yeah, so this is the kind of thing where even for all my link building expertise, like we have someone on on our team who I always thought I was pretty good at link building, and then I met him and I was like, oh my God, you were like the king of link building on one building. So it's the kind of thing that over time and experience you learn and get. So if you're doing it yourself, I think the most important factors are to be real. To build real relationships. You can have a template email, but you don't want it to be like just fill in their name, because I get these all the time. Like if you have any website, you might get a templated email. And it's like, hi, I read your last guest post, your last blog post. I really enjoyed reading your blog. And in my mind, I'm like, we haven't put a blog post on there in the last year, or they're just saying that. So building relationships can be very valuable. Like for instance, having a podcast, for instance, if you had a podcast, you can offer to interview someone on your podcast. And then if they have a podcast, they can offer to interview you. Like you can do these sort of almost like trades. These are not link exchanges, but more like, let me add value to you. How can you add value back to me? Or maybe on social media, you're sharing their stuff just out of the goodness of your heart to give back. And then they look upon you like, wow, like Jessica's so cool and so awesome. They're really open to helping you. And then, 3 months later, when you're like, hey, by the way, I'd love to write a guest post for you, or here's a great resource for your readers. Do you want to share it? So a lot of these things, it's like so much work and energy. People just don't do it, or they have the budget and resources that they're willing to stake to get there. But these are great questions. And
all right. But okay, I mean, I will come up with a budget. I just want to make sure that it is absolutely necessary. If you had to weigh in a website to bring traffic, would you say link building is on the top 2?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, Jessica. And I think there is one question from the audience I can see.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Kate. Yeah. So Bruna Trindade was asking, I manage an e-commerce and I always get warnings about low text content compared to HTML on the page. To a page full of products, is it really important to have text? Could I ignore these warnings? So any kind of tool. I mean, the greatest SEO tool in the world, it is more of a program. And so it might give you signals or warnings that sometimes you can safely ignore. So in this case, it sounds like the case. It certainly doesn't hurt to have more text. Let's say you have a product page and you have no product description, and the word count on the page is like 20 words or 30 words. Like it'd be great to have 100 words or 200 words and a unique product description and maybe some more discussion about it. But of course, if your e-commerce site has 20,000 products, you can't do that for each one. So I think that speaking about SEMrush's tool is fantastic. It can find so many things that you might not be aware of, but it's not just the tool itself. It's how you use a tool. What do you do with the tool? How do you interpret those results? That ultimately helps, you have to have your own sort of decision making on, okay, what's really important and how do I interpret these results? So that's a great question.
Thank you, Tom. And last but not least is Monica. Monica, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, Tom. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my questions are pretty much based on ranking. So my first question for you is, what determines the volatility? For example, one day you wake up, your website is on the second page of Google, and the second day it's on the first page, but on the third day it goes back to second page. So you're doing everything. You have the backlinks, you have the domain authority, you have the infographics, you have the images. But what determines the volatility, and what should we do to be, to have a stable ranking? What do you suggest?
Yeah, it's a great question. So my understanding is part of the way that Google works with their search results is to actually keep kind of changing them, almost like A/B testing. As a marketer, you might have two different landing pages. And so a user might come to your site and be annoyed that, like, I saw this landing page yesterday, now I see that one. Well, Google can basically do the same thing. And they can say, okay, let's see what happens when we put you in position 9, and now we'll drop you to position 11. Now you're 10, and they're like, you're jumping all over the place. So I understand it could be annoying if like you're very hyper focused on a keyword and a page you really want to rank specifically. So it's not going to be like just, static. It's going to be, and of course the other websites on the web might be changing, and Google's algorithm is updating. So
it's actually, the competitors are not changing, but our website is changing a lot. It's moving a lot. So why is this happening with us? Even though the domain authority is stable, it's pretty much close to the competitors. The links are almost the same. We're focusing on blogging. Then what is it that we're not doing?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is Google actually split tests, or they run their own tests. So they will change the search results. So for the same keyword, I might do a search today, and I might do the exact same search again tomorrow on my same computer, incognito window, all that stuff, and get different search results. And Google is actually testing the results because it allows them to measure and to see click-through rates and see how things change. So that's actually one of the factors of knowing if there's a Google algorithm update it's like the volatility is exactly what you're saying. And what these data scientists like at Moz will measure is, okay, if the volatility of search results is usually like X, and one day it spikes and like, whoa, everything just shifted around. Oh my goodness, like what's happening here? That's an indicator to the SEO community that Google's unrolling an algorithm update. So to try to answer your question again about the volatility of their ranking position, is actually natural. It's not going to be like just at like one position always. Google will be, moving things around to kind of see like what's working to test things out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get minor heart attacks every day when I see the rankings.
What's that?
I get minor heart attacks every day when I see the rankings.
Oh,
it's
my
on the
goodness.
first page and then it's on the second page.
Well, I mean, I think you don't, if you're focusing too granularly on like one keyword and one page and one position, like now it's position 9, now it's 11, now it's a 9, you really want to think of like, what are the big, impact driving things to really, make a change, because those are things that are outside of your control. So if you go from 9 to 11 back and forth every day, you're going to get these little heart attacks, but what can you do? But if you really think about, again, those main ranking factors like link building, like keyword research and optimization and user experience and content and internal links, the things you can directly control, then I think you'll get less heart attacks and hopefully see the average position rise over time. So maybe you want to look at a metric like what's the average position for the last week? Or maybe a chart where even if it bounces every single day, at least you can see like what it really kind of is averaging out to. So you're like a little more comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you. So my second question is, what is the impact of CTR on ranking?
So click-through rate does affect ranking position. It is a ranking factor. And so Google knows, generally speaking, what like position 1, position 2, position 3. I forget what is off the top of my head, but Google knows the averages should be like 20-something%. And then I think it's like 19 or 18%. And then it drops like 12%. So those are the averages. And let's say you have a page in position 5. And Google knows that like statistically, position 5 should get like, I don't know, 5% of clicks. But you're at position 5 and you're getting like 15% of clicks, then Google's actually going to use that to say, there must be something better about this page that is really what the user is wanting to find. And so they will rank you higher, maybe now you're position 4 or position 3, just because you're getting higher click-through rates, which is why, just as an aside, the meta description is important, as well as the title, not just to have the keyword in it, but because that can entice the user to click on it because your page is more relevant and helpful. And so the meta description itself, if you put a keyword in the meta description, according to Google, it doesn't help you rank directly. But if your meta description is like really, compelling to the user and it's like, sounds like really going to help them find what they're looking for, that can increase your click-through rate, which can help you to rank higher.
All right. So the third question is, for example, if there's a keyword that is not related to the traffic, but it is bringing traffic to your website, what impact should it have on your website?
Sorry, say it again.
If the keyword is not traffic relevant, but it's like there's a keyword that is bringing traffic to the website, but it's not industry relevant, what impact should it have on the website and on the ranking?
Oh, yeah. I think this was similar to Jessica's question, which I don't think there's much of any negative impact. And I could be wrong. Another SEO on here might come in and tell you something different. But yeah, I mean, I was giving this example before. If you had a site about nature and you had a blog post about motorcycles and has no relevance to the rest of your website, I don't think it's harmful. I mean, you're helping if a user is searching for information and your page and your site is helping give that information, I think it's bad. I think generally speaking, it's hard to make generalizations because you have sites like the Huffington Post that have like every possible topic on their website. I think generally speaking, if let's say your business is about this one thing, if you try to focus most of your content on that thing and maybe some tangential stuff around that, whatever your business is about, I think you're going to do much better because it'll give more semantic clues to Google that your website is really about this topic, and it can help the other pages rank better and your internal links can be better. So I think it's very helpful to actually have your whole site more focused on a topic or like within a broad area of a topic versus everything.
Okay. So my last question is, how often should we upload blog on our website? Some people say it should be like twice a week, or some people they twice a day. So how often should we update our blog?
Yeah, I love this question. So I'll tell you honestly, like a website I've worked on that has not had one new blog post in like 2, maybe 3 years, still gets the same amount of traffic. Why? Because if you have evergreen content that's satisfying user intent, that's optimized for keywords, that's helpful, useful, great content, then it doesn't matter. Like if it was written 3 years ago, but it's just as helpful and relevant today, then you don't have to worry about it. Now, the freshness of content is a ranking factor. So if someone's searching for a news event right now, like the government shutdown in the US, and you just wrote a news article today versus one that was written a year ago or a week ago, the freshness ranking factor of that piece of content will help it to rank higher. The other reason I think people say, like, you got to write one blog post once a week. Part of that is like a discipline thing, like as you're still always creating content, like keeps you on that track, and there's always something fresh. And Google, if every time they come to your site, which I find in Search Console, even for small sites, they come pretty frequently. Like as long as you have a little bit of backlinks or ranking, like Google basically keeps coming like, I don't know, all day long, more or less. But if Google keeps seeing like a new blog post, like every time they come, they're like, they might come to check back even more often. Or, but yeah, I'm basically of the camp that like, don't worry about new stuff. Like take your old stuff and make it great. Take that 800-word blog post you have and make it 3,000 words and really helpful and really optimize it for those keywords, because you don't actually need 100 or 500 blog posts. What you really need is like Brian Dean from backlinko.com is a great example of this. He has maybe like, I don't know, 30 or 40 posts, but they're really awesome. They're really helpful. They're really optimized. He's got great backlinks to his site. And, that's it. Like it's a quality over a quantity sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, you're very welcome. These are great questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. I know that Neil wanted to ask something. So.
Or I think Michael did too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Mine is as far as analytics. I was going through analytics the other day and noticed that we have a bunch of 100% bounce with 0 time on the site. Is that something that you see often, or?
Is that for a specific page?
No, it's just random sites or random referral links, and none of them are direct. They all seem to be links, but it's 0.0 time on site and 100% bounce rate, which ends up like making the bounce rate higher, makes the conversion rating lower, all different sorts of bad analytics.
Shoot me an email at tom@sherrock.com, because I noticed the same thing myself on my own site, because we were running some Bing ads and I had the same problem. And it was like time on site is 0:00:0. And I was Googling it and I was like really troubleshooting, like, how is this possible? Why? And then there was some weird thing of like the way that Google Analytics computes that metric is, I forget what it was, if it was like an average or like there need to be enough users for, it was something that I was just sort of like, all right, you know what? I don't care. Like that page wasn't getting a lot of traffic, but it was just some weird like thing in Google Analytics. I was just like, what am I going to do? Forget it. So sorry, that might not be most helpful, but I remember troubleshooting the same exact problem.
Okay. Do I have time for one other one, or?
I think we can take one question from Michael, and then if we have time,
I'll just email it to him.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks. So the last question. So Tom, so imagine, so we are in a very competitive space. So imagine 100 companies, so let's say 500 companies doing essentially the same thing, and they providing the same service, and they all SEO savvy, and they all doing the same thing on SEO. So there is tremendous fluctuation. So almost every day you see ranking, like the other caller said, the ranking changes every day. So today on the first page, tomorrow on the fifth page. Considering these factors, do you know of SEO, SEM company, and we've tried probably at this point 8 companies without any progress. Do you have a recommendation on SEO, SEM company that actually does what they say, or that actually can actually take on that challenge?
Yeah, so I have an SEO company, Shoroak, but if you've tried 8 companies and you haven't had any success with any of them, then I don't imagine a 9th one would really help. I wonder if it's the competitiveness of the niche. I wonder if, basically how you describe how competitive it is, it makes me wonder like what it would really take to drive results for the company. And I saw. Let me just check again. The domain authority is 65 on a scale of 100, which is on a logarithmic scale. So that's a pretty good domain authority. Like you're not doing bad from like a backlink standpoint.
No, it's great. I mean, traffic is great, and but it's getting harder and harder to compete. The traffic is extremely saturated. So
yeah,
every year I wake up and I say this year is where consolidation is going to happen to this market, and it doesn't happen, not yet. And how long do you usually, if you do find, and I would like to take it offline and talk to you, maybe you have an SEO company, SEM, that we can try again. But how long do you usually wait? How long do you advise a client to wait before results are shown?
Yeah, we could definitely chat more after. We usually look at a 6-month and a 12-month time period. Results can come sooner. You know, it can be 4 months or 5 months or 3 months, but it really depends. And in your situation, it sounds like longer is going to be more helpful. But then again, like that makes it harder because you have to wait that period of time and you don't know, like, is it working? Is it not? So that's the challenge, but let's chat more. And I think we are out of time, and I know Christina had a question, but Kate, I believe we need to wrap up.
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks.
So I think it's like 1 hour has passed, and it's a wrap. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you for the audience. I hope that you walked away with some helpful insights, and thanks so much to our guests. Thank you for all your questions, and the most important thanks, as usual, goes to Tom and Andres. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today, and thank you very much for being with us, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Good.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Semrush. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.